Dad and Lewis back in the building one time. I'm gonna start out with Will Smith. Will Smith, for some reason or another, has had continuing problems with Jada, and a lot of people want to sit back and act like it doesn't exist. A lot of people want to act like, well, Jada is the antithesis of a good woman. And we could argue that fashion. We could say, well, it might be a possibility that maybe she is. And I know you guys are sitting back right now. You're like, well, what's going on with them? Well, the reason I'm talking about them, and I meant to talk about it actually 2 days ago, and I didn't. And the reason I didn't get to talk, I said a day and a half. The reason I didn't talk about it then was because of the pure simple fact it wasn't enticing enough to me to talk about, to be honest with you. So I decided not to talk about it. But then it kept coming up. So what struck my interest in it more so than anything was I got to check out Storm and Roe. What's going on, Storm? Hey, Storm. Hey, girl. You better work. You make me feel mighty real. Ass motherfucker. No, I like Storm. All jokes aside, I think he gets it wrong a lot, but I like him. I understand what he does. So I'm joking with Storm when I say that. But at the same time, I'm dead serious. Storm and Roll doesn't. And this whole eye drive that Storm and Roll did, believe it or not, hold on, guys. This guy wants to call right when I go live. Can't do that, bro. Anyway, right at the moment when I heard this actual diatribe, if you want to say, the Storm and Roll was given out, it was all in behest of Jada Pinkett Smith. He said, you should give Jada choices, and Jada this, and Jada this. Typical shit that everybody runs with. In case y'all wonder, it's a tea bag. But I want to take it a little bit step further. I want to talk about how Jada might even actually be responsible for what Will is now claiming he cheated first. And a lot of people don't think of it in that notion, but I'm going to tell you why I think of it in that notion. There was three things, Ken, that stuck out to me that Will Smith said. One, Will, when the first thing broke about you, her and August Alsina, I believe that's his name, you had the choice right then and there to divulge to everybody, hey, I cheated on her before, and, blah, 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 blah. We now wait almost until what did this story break? Maybe 5-6 months later? So we're now 5 or 6 months later into the actual story and when it broke. And I'm particularly talking about August Alsina, and I believe it was actually further back than that, because if I can remember this correctly, this was somewhere around the time of the beginning of the year when the story first broke about August Alsina and Jada Pinkett Smith. So I look back at that at one. And then I go in correlation with what he said. He said Jada never wanted to get married. Jada wasn't ever into traditional marriage. Jada's mama, which was a rumor before, but Jada's mama influenced her to marry Will. These are all things that have been said that are now confirmed. They were said in the past, but now they're confirmed. Now I want y'all to take that and put that in the highlight, all right? These were things that were said in the past and rumors that now we know to be true. So I said to myself, okay, if I take those three factors, one, she didn't believe in traditional marriage. Two, she really didn't want to get married. Three, her mother pressured her into getting married. And four, most importantly to me, I'm going to throw in as an added bonus, she was in love with Tupac. I still ask myself that question. How do you go from street level, about the people, monumental, just everything about what street life and antithesis was, and not to throw in the fact that you went to school with him, y'all had a prior history together, and R.I.P. to Tupac, definitely one of my favorite artists. She was still reeling over the death, in my opinion, of her and Tupac, because they got married, I believe it was in 99, somewhere around there. It was shortly after Tupac died, which I also kind of found eerie, which would have been contested with the reason she probably didn't want to get married. She just lost her best friend and potentially someone she might have saw that she was going to get married to. So let's throw that to the side, right? Let's throw that to the side as a fourth in theory. With those three that are notably sticking out and are there, which is she didn't want to get married, she didn't believe in traditional marriage. I heard now 3 times that she regretted having her 2 kids, which is a statement she made. She didn't really want kids. She didn't want kids, she didn't want a traditional marriage, she didn't want any of this stuff. Did she not want any of this stuff because it was Will Smith? Is that why she was saying these things? Because I know guys that have been in that situation before. I've been one of those guys in that situation before. You feel like you got everything going for you. You might be good looking, you might be wealthy, you might drive the nicest car, you might live in the best neighborhood, whatever the case may be. And the one girl that you like, she seems not to want or care about any of that. But had your face be different, had your personality be different, and you don't have any of that stuff, she wants you. And I think that's what Will Smith saw. We now engage on this conversation about their open marriage. An open marriage which I don't condone at all. You might as well not even get married. And Will Smith is now claiming that he did his own womanizing in the back. And I'm going to read y'all's comments, so y'all stay here. I'm going to read your comments. Will Smith somehow or another decided he was going to go through and still marry Jada. Now, I don't know if he married Jada because he was in love with Jada. I don't know if he married Jada because Jada was just the only thing there that he saw or whatever. I don't even know how they met. You know, I still haven't figured that out. But whatever the case is, and I don't want to babble here, I want to move on from this. Just yesterday, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because if you don't know, Will had a fire at his house. Now, I know this from Will having a fire at his house because I follow their channel. Will had a fire at their Calabasas house, right? So what did they do? They went together and purchased a new $11.3 million home. A new one. Together in California. They claim they're adding it to their portfolio as far as homes, which makes sense. But something shaky about this shit. I think the reason they did this, really, and I think the reason they went public is for just that, promotion. I don't think anybody cares about her sleeping with August Alsina anymore. I mean, if you really want to go further about it, Jada, just say, hey, you a thought for Philly. We get it. Or Maryland. Let me read some of these comments. Dabba, Will and Jada met on the set of Fresh Prince. They okay, now I know. Tupac was her true love. Yes, he was. Hey, Patrice. Hey. Absolutely. By no means whatsoever. She's even restated it herself several times. Tupac versus Will Smith. Tupac would have won if Tupac would have still been alive. He would have had her hand in marriage. That's my point. So I got to ask Will, now with 20-something years plus of marriage, why are you still staying with this bride? How is she beneficial to you? If you want to do it in the scale of acting career, she can't topple you. If you want to do it in the scale of monetarily, she can't topple you. If you're saying you're still together for the kids, well, one kid's 20 and the other kid's 20, 30. Your oldest is damn near 30 or 30. So I'm trying, that's his son from another wife, which for some reason or another, he doesn't post for many pictures a lot, especially family pictures. It's always those two that's highlighted, which is also kind of weird to me because I'm like, Will has a third son before Jada. And many people will say that Jada stole him away from that girl. They bought an $11.3 million home the day after they made this proclamation to the press that, hey, me and Jada, we ain't seeing eye to eye on everything. There was a moment where we were just buttering the line, and now, as an added bonus, we're going to go buy an $11.3 million house. Y'all make this make sense for me. Because if you make that proclamation publicly and you say to the public, you say to black folks and Latin people, you say, hey, you know what? Me and her ain't doing. What kind of example are you setting for marriage? What kind of example are you setting for your kids? See, this is a conversation that should be having private. That should have never went to the papers with this shit. You should have never went to the papers with the thing about August Alsina to boost up table talk or red table, whatever that bullshit is called. That's what it is. It's a bullshit ass show. It's a bullshit ass show for Jada to sit back, dish out all her misogyny, dish out all her man hating. I think she teetered the line of being a lesbian. That's just my personal opinion, especially with the newest hairdo, with the bald shit. I saw Tiffany Haddish do that shit too. I said, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Every woman can't rock that bald head. I see girls in Brooklyn that rock that bald head. There's particular girls that can rock. Your cranium got to be shaped. Got to be shaped when you was a baby. You can't come through with a cradle cap or nothing like that as an adult and try to get a bald. You know, the doctor ain't shape your head right. You're gonna look fucked up. You'll come around the corner and be like, I just saw a pack of hot dogs walking down the block. Oh shit, that's Tanisha. I could have swore you was a pack of hot dogs, Tanisha. Oh, please believe me. Some women that be having that short hair, dude, that's why I can rock the baldy. I ain't got no hot dog pack in my back of my head. But some women and men that rock that baldy, I don't give a fuck what nationality they are. They end up looking like a pack of hot dogs from the back. If they ain't got the head shape right, they got fat meaty heads or whatever. Jada don't look right with that bald head. She don't look right with that bald head. I don't care what nobody say. Tiffany Haddish ain't look right with that bald head. Respect the comment. It look like y'all lost your mind. When I see a woman do that, and it's not because of a style purpose, like Amber Rose, I can tell she did it for a style purpose. If I see a woman do that, cut all the hair off like that or whatever, and they don't do it for a style, purpose, first thing I'm thinking, something mentally wrong with this motherfucker. Nobody just cuts off their hair for no reason. You don't have cancer, you're not going through chemo, nobody just cuts their hair off. Like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do some Britney Spears shit today. Let me shave all this shit off. And that's what I think in my mind. I think Britney Spears. Every time I see a woman shave their hair, I'm like, Tiffany Haddish, she kind of muddled the line between sane and regular for me too. I like Tiffany, don't get me wrong. It was the same thing. I've seen her do some weird shit. You ever go on her channel? Go on her channel. She had one thing on there where she was in a clown suit or some shit like that. Water in the garden. She's always in a garden. She's a big thing on gardens and shit. I don't know. But Tiffany, shout out to you. You ain't involved in this. I'm pointing responsibility at Jada Pinkett Smith because I think, like many men do, and the way she sounded, is that she picked Will Smith as a second choice. I will even go as further to say she was actually the antithesis of pick me in the pick me culture, because that's what this shit sound like. Sound like she ran up to Will on that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air set and said, pick me, Will. Because if I really look back at it, her career wasn't popping right there. Her career, I say the biggest roles that she had was definitely Set It Off. Let's see, what else? Name me another Jada Pinkett Smith movie that you remember that you saw. What, The Matrix? Was she in The Matrix? I think did she replace Aaliyah when Aaliyah passed away in The Matrix? And I think it was only the second or third one or something like that. So regardless of what I'm saying is, and whatever that movie was, speaking of Tiffany Haddish, and she was in with Tiffany Haddish and Queen Latifah not too long. Was it Road Trip, Girls Trip, some shit like that? Nobody's paying attention to Jada Pinkett Smith's career, not like they're paying attention to fucking Will. I Am Legend, I, Robot, Independence Day. You want me to name some more? You know what I mean? All these are memorable movies, most of them are memorable movies that have received accolades and everything else. I can't think of one movie that Jada Pinkett Smith was in that she received an Oscar or an accolade. So I'm asking myself, who benefits off their marriage more than her? Even her Red Table Talk, she set that shit up in Will's house after she complained and said she didn't like the house. Y'all remember that? She set up and said, I don't like this house. I don't think this house is needed. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's what you said. So why now all this exposure from you two? Voluntarily, mind you. Well, me and Jada wasn't getting along. You know, I cheated on her. Dog, you was the biggest Hollywood fucking success there is. At one time, you was worth more than Tom Cruise. Of course she's gonna be there. And a greedy ass mama too, with all that fake ass smiling she does. You ever see that fake ass smiling her mother does? Dr. Boyce Watkins did a show last night, and I shared it. You guys go in the community section and check it out. Dr. Boyce Watkins did a show last night, and he was talking about families and how families actually can be a detriment. He was talking in particular black families and Latin families, I'm going to assume, because of the diatribe around it. And as many of y'all know, and it's no secret, many of black and Latin people would say have no qualm in showing most of the time, it seems to me. Many of black and Latin people nowadays get off on starting shit with other black and Latin people because they have no gumption to go start anything with white people. The response they would give to a white person, excuse me, sir, what did you say? I'm sorry, what did you say, sir? Is not the same response they would give to somebody black or Latin. It would be more like condensed to an episode of the Boondocks. What you say, nigga? What you say, nigga? A nigga moment. The way I hear Jada Pinkett Smith talk to Will, sometimes during those intermissions of the Red Table Talk, I went back and watched them. I said to myself, this is a woman that is ungrateful. And your greedy ass mama too. Nobody ever talks about her greedy ass mama, who's fine as hell, and in many cases, many men would say finer than Jada. How come my fine ass ain't never found another man? Jada Pinkett Smith's mother is almost 75, I believe, or 70. One of the two. Yeah, she ain't never had another man. Why? Enjoying that money, huh? I hear you. Both of them girls over there spending Will's motherfucking money up, and they ain't going nowhere till Will's motherfucking money is spent up. You dig? The only reason she married Will was because of that money. Y'all don't get it? She gave him, just like many of the girls do nowadays, well, look, you cute and everything like that. Won't you take a ride with me? And I'm not saying every rapper or every artist or whatever, but particularly seems stained in black and Latin culture where you link up with a famous rapper, particularly male, and have a baby. Who are you? I'm nobody. In Jada Pinkett's case, she was a little bit of somebody. You know, in a different world, I remember that. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, outside of that, what did she really bring to the table? I'm on my Kevin Samuels shit about this. What did she bring to the table? If we have to sit up in the scope, then Jada Pinkett Smith is not removed from that scope, okay? So what I'm saying to y'all is, if we're talking this Kevin Samuels talk about what she brought to the table, and so many people are defending her, I gotta raise the same fucking question. What did Jada Pinkett Smith bring to the table? She didn't heighten Will Smith's career. She didn't really bring out the best in him, if you want to say. That was already in him. He was already on his way to superstardom. Proof is in the pudding there where she met him on a set of a show that was his, not hers, his. These two, in my opinion, are honestly and truthfully a great marketing team. I think they are a great team as far as friends. I think they should consider going into co-parenting instead of just sitting here and pretending that they're this happy couple and having this open relationship shit. And I segue this into the same thing that a lot of other people are promoting, like Dr. Umar Johnson with this polygamy shit. You know, and the same thing with Brother Polite promoting this polygamy shit. This is stuff that, first of all, let me tell y'all where a lot of this shit comes from, here in America, okay? Now, a lot of them will point this out and they'll say all these deities and all these people that they met, you know, Dr. So-and-so or whoever else or whatever, or Black Professor so-and-so or whatever. That's what entuned them to get into it. And some people come from actual toned and respected movements like, hey, I was part of the Nation of Islam, or yo, I was a Wanubian, or hey, I was, you know, this, that, and other, and the third. I can respect that. It's when you get these motherfuckers coming in with this secular psychology and secular thinking and secular non-secular thinking, non-traditional thinking, non-secular ideas, non-secular theories, you know, meaning not being shared by most of the people in society. When you have people like that introduce it to you, and I'm trying to give you an example, they are introducing to y'all open marriage. Since they can't counter, give me 1 second. Since they can't counter, y'all don't have to believe me. And I'm going to read y'all comments, so don't go anywhere. They are trying to inoculate the very fact that people get divorced at a high rate in this country, that relationships don't last that long, even if they're boyfriend and girlfriend. What they're trying to do is they're trying to bring in an ideology. And the reason I mentioned the Mormons and the wagon trail people and things like that, because these two motherfuckers, speaking of Tom Cruise, are Scientologists. At a time in this country, in the Midwest specifically, wagon trail country, there used to be people that would believe that they weren't going to live beyond 40 years old. So they promoted to children, and this is why you see in many of our states there are no laws against marrying a child, because in this particular reasons, yes, I'm dead serious, and I didn't know the exact number, and thank you for Laura Stiles at Hot97 for clearing, actually giving the numbers, which is 44 different states within 50 plus states that allow you to marry a child. And the reason they do this is because of old laws when these towns and cities, and most of them are small constituencies and then runs in the state. But most of these places were barren with people, for one. Two, they wanted to keep up the population. And three, life expectancy based on the roughness of the terrain, the area of sickness, the area of non-recovery from sickness. All these things played into hand with them now getting to the idea of, well, listen, if you're 35, you need to marry a wife that's 14 or 15 to have the children. Now, you've seen this depicted in many of movies. I can point them out to you over and over and over and over where you will see this. I watched this Western not too long ago, and it was about this, yes, it was a Western. It was about this man that was a preacher, and he had came over from somewhere in Amsterdam or whatever, but he spoke Dutch. And I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. And he actually killed the wife and ended up marrying his own daughter. Now, the thing about it is, in the whole movie, he was a preacher. And he claimed that he was running by the doctrine of God. He recited the Bible in a way that it fit his narrative. You don't get what I'm saying. It fit his narrative. Even more funny to me and more weird to me is this. Scientologists are not that different from those people that came across on the wagon trails. Their ideology is not that far removed from the Mormons and many other people. And if you don't believe me, go do the comparisons. Them, Episcopalians, and what are the other ones? Another one too. Seventh-day Evangelists, and then there's another one too, and I'm trying to think of it. And it'll come to my mind in a minute, but it also starts with a P. And if one of y'all think of it before I do, let me know. Let me read some of these comments here. Maybe he is staying because he doesn't have a prenup, cheaper to keep her. I don't think that's why. Because Jada does have her own money. Maybe he is staying because, and she wouldn't get child support because the kid's over 18. It's been a long time since Jason's. Y'all remember that movie? I had forgot about that one. Okay, sure did say something. Hey, Cocoa Butter Baby. Yeah, I started speaking for promotion of his book. He has a book coming out. Yeah, he does have a book coming out as well. Low Down Dirty Shame and Matrix and Set It Off. I remember Low Down Dirty Shame too. She doesn't look right. I saw a pic of her today and she looks sickly. She has alopecia. Okay, that makes sense. Promotion of this book. Okay. I forgot that he had a book coming out. That's why I said this. And see, I had forgot all about that in my whole little diatribe here. So, which makes sense. Once again, like I said, they're marketing geniuses. I think this is all marketing. I think this is all promotion. I think behind it, just like you have a lot of these rappers like Juvenile, back that vax up. Back that vax up. Nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like Corey Holcomb say, when the going get low, the hungriness show. When the money get low, the hungriness show. Shit. And I'm unlike a lot of these motherfuckers. I don't have no shame in mine. I'm trying to come up. So if y'all want to hit that, $STRINGERBELL80. Both links for that and PayPal in the description. That's a Cash App. Hit that up if y'all like what I'm talking about. But I'm going to continue. Because this really needs to be separated here so we can end all this damn gossiping about them. Why do we even care about them so much? Is it the amount of money that they have that makes them so interesting, or is them as people that makes them interesting? I still haven't deciphered between that yet. But one thing I can tell you is I think this is for promotion. Not only do I think this is for promotion, but I think that there's a possibility they might have broken up a long time ago and everything else is just for the cameras. I don't think anything particularly has to do with her per se, if you want to say walking away at this cheaper to keeper thing like Annette or Patrice, one of the two, I'm sorry, suggested. I think that Will Smith is smart enough that he got a prenup, for one. I can't confirm that. Two, I think that if those two did walk away from each other based on the way they appear at least publicly and on camera when nobody's looking, I think that they could move along amicably. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning it wouldn't be a lot of fuss, it wouldn't be a lot of argument. I think they could just move around amicably, get out of each other's way, let their kids go on about their way, and be perfectly fine. That's my opinion. Now, I know and I understand that a lot of people, they go to court and things change. The love you had for me 2 weeks ago ain't there no more. So I get that part too, so I won't argue that. But what I'll say is it's more inclined, I would think, that you would see more so Jada and Will separate amicably. They wouldn't have this, I don't think they would have this reverence with themselves that they would want to argue in front of public. And the reason I say that is because for both of them it will be a detriment to their, not only their careers, but their reputation and everything they put out there henceforth beforehand, if that makes sense. So I don't think that's the thing they want to do, and I don't think that's the thing they should do. Buying an $11.3 million house, having a book come out, and then backing all that up with this claims of, hey, I'm a good guy, please be cool with us, please buy my book, and here's my admission so I don't hinder any of my sales from women. Will Smith, I'm gonna be honest with you, you had a couple months to make this revelation to the public and say, hey, I cheated on Jada too. Hell, when you were sitting at that table that day and they got that clip circling around, you could have sit around and you could have said when she was sitting there oohing you out and you had nothing to say except for one thing: I'll get you back. Right then and there when he said that, and he said it slipped like he was laughing, Will admit every bit of that shit. I'll get you back. I'm gonna get me a bad bitch. You sit your bald-headed ass over there and make sure my kids at home later. I know she had alopecia. That explains a lot. Because I was like, you look crazy with that bald head. But it makes sense now. Now, I'm going to say this about Will Smith and I'm going to leave it alone. I think what Will and Jada are doing is a farce. I don't think Will and Jada really give two fucks about anything off the camera except for their celebrity. I think they've shown that time and time again. I think Will is a great actor. I think Jada's a good actor. I think they're acting when they put this forward and say, oh, well, I cheated on her, to try to justify the shit. I really think that she stuck around, and based off her past morals of not wanting to get married, not wanting to have kids, not wanting to be in a traditional marriage or having a traditional wedding, I think all these played part in her decision-making when she decided to sleep with Agnes Alsina. Basically saying to Will, well, you knew what I was about. You knew what I was about. Stop the fraud, Will. Stop the fraud, Jada. People are tired of it. Moving on, I want to talk about RKelly again because I want to mention somebody else, which is Ebro, Laura Styles, and himself. Who? Well, y'all end that off for yourself. Y'all don't know who all on Hot 97. What's wrong with y'all? Peter Rosenberg, goddammit. And all three of them brought up some great points. A lot of them points they brought up are reiterated shit that I had said the day before. Y'all can go check the timestamps. But One thing the Lord Styles said that stood out, and I just mentioned it earlier, that there are 44 states in the United States currently that you got to know that allow you to get married to children. And the reason this came up is when they were talking about their own diatribe about RKelly, but not only that, amongst them just talking about their own diatribe of RKelly, they also brought in the fact that this is something that happens to more than just those girls that it happened with RKelly. So this is something that happens nationally. And it doesn't matter if you're a white RKelly, a black RKelly, or a Latin RKelly, you're RKelly. And I think a lot of times people will use that in the future moving forward. What the question is now is, and I think if you really care about these young girls or you just want to hype up the story, well, your actions will play part in answering this question. I think that every last one of you, depending on which state, which one of these states are the 44 states, and there's a lot of them, so I'm pretty sure I got a lot of viewers. I'm pretty sure each one of them, one of y'all live in. You need to talk to your local state rep or your local governor or your local mayor and see what you can do to get some of those laws changed. I'm gonna give y'all a prime example of what I mean by this. I live here in Connecticut. I am between Rhode Island and New York City, okay? Providence, Rhode Island is towards the north of me, and so is westerly. If you go up I-95, if you go down I-95, it would take me about an hour, 15 to 20 minutes to get to Rhode Island from here. From here, it would take me about 35 to 40 minutes to get to New York. The first step in New York. So I'm between both of them. And I'm also about an hour or so away from Jersey, okay? Maybe less than an hour, maybe 45, 50 minutes away from Jersey. First stop in Jersey. So I'm between all three of these. Jersey and Providence, Rhode Island. I remember Providence in particular because they had a law up there where they allowed prostitution. And as long as you were 16 years old, you could be a prostitute in the state of Rhode Island. You can look that up right now for yourself. As a matter of fact, after this broadcast is over, I will throw the links in there so you can see it for yourself. The same goes similar for New Jersey. Down in New Jersey, you can marry a woman as young as 15 or 16 years old, being a grown man, as long as you have her parents' consent. Now, you guys can look this up, and I'll throw it in later on, and like I always do, the links so you can go check them out for yourself. What you guys need to do is start advocating to your local representatives, state representatives, mayors, governors, whoever, state reps, maybe even constituents that are senators, or congressmen, or women, and tell them you have a problem with this. Tell them that it's for the protection of your kids in particular. Make sure you highlight that. And for the protection of kids just in general. Don't just make it about your kid, but say about all the kids that go to school with it. You know, you really got to play the line here. That was the problem in Chicago. If you look up Chicago's laws, and you look up, which I did, and I'll put that up for you too. If you look up Chicago's laws, what I want you to do is look at the age of consent for sex. I also want you to look up the age of consent for marriage. And you're going to see two things. And this was one of the reasons why he chose to try to marry Aaliyah in Chicago, and he paid a state representative to falsify a marriage license and say that she was, I believe, how old did she say? He say she was 16 or 18, one of the two. But at the time, and I think it still is in Chicago, you could be 16 years old and marry someone. Now, I think there's some stipulations in between it, but I don't have those right on me, but I do know Rhode Island. And Rhode Island, with the prostitution, like I said, it's a real thing, prostitution, and it happens in Rhode Island. Rhode Island's always been known for prostitution, especially Providence. Who gonna argue with it? So, with that being said, I'm gonna read your comments, don't go anywhere. With that being said, I think that that's the next plight in this whole RKelly thing, and I think Lord Styles actually hit it on the nail. And I think if everybody in that room, she brought up the biggest point that hadn't been reiterated or hadn't been said by the likes of myself and other bloggers. You know, the stuff that we already knew. He's going to jail, he's been convicted, blah, 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 blah. But are we really concerned? Are we really concerned with just the celebrity getting the shaft? Or are we concerned with the ramifications of what he did to these young girls? And Lord Styles brought something else up too. She said the majority of the women that he molested were black women. They wasn't Latin women. They wasn't white women. They were black women. Poor black girls. This is why he went back to Chicago to a poor black high school and had his men plucking people out of the high school crowd, plucking people out of the stage crowd that were young. And y'all motherfuckers just as guilty too because you helped them out, but your punk asses want to run off. And I'm innocent. I didn't have that much to do with it. Ass motherfuckers. That's the key right there. So I want those that separate themselves from being happy because RKelly got arrested and convicted versus those that are actually concerned about what he got arrested and convicted for and try to affect some real change. Now, black women. I see a lot of y'all make all these things about that girl. I'm going to give you an example. That girl that made that show, and this is why I say it's more about the hype than the culture. That girl that made those two shows now, Surviving RKelly, right? I haven't seen anything that she's done publicly after that in promoting young girls. Anybody else have anything that's different? Because I looked up and I didn't see anything. I saw little micro things she's done, but I'm talking about on a large scale. Because that fucking documentary was a nail in the coffin for her. That and the alleged fake marriage certificate from Aaliyah, that was a nail in the coffin. What are these women doing? You're advocating and getting mad when somebody talks against body positivity, when in many cases body positivity is basically a celebratory way to invite you to the graveyard. Because if you are freaking obese versus plump, there's a difference. I don't care what nobody says, that's the way it is. And if that's not the case, you wouldn't see thousands of women day in and day out in the gym trying to change themselves. We've got to have some type of recoil here with the story. We got to pull back and we got to say, under the layers of everything here, are we more concerned about the celebrity of RKelly, or are we more concerned about the safety of these young girls, which most of the time, it seems to me, most of the time when they are raped and abused, it's always black and Latin girls. Always black and Latin girls. You don't believe me? Look at Mexican news. Look at news from across the world in Latin America. And you will see rape after rape, sexual assault. You go right down to the Dominican Republic right now and go on the beach called Boca Chica, and you get 7 Jennifer Lopez's down there for fucking $25. Tell me I'm lying. Go to Boca Chica right now, the beach. In the Dominican Republic, same remains for Honduras, same remains for Cuba even. And Cuba has a law against dating. Y'all know that you can't date in Cuba. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you can't date in Cuba. You can court somebody, but you can't date in Cuba. A lot of people don't know that. Communism at its best. Communism / socialism. Because that's really what it is. Communism versus socialism in Cuba. Now, for the rest of the Latin American countries that aren't communists, you will see the same thing. You will see girls that are 15 years old and they will Juanpito that's 25, 30 years old. Why? Because Juanpito got some money compared to everybody around there. And if you put Juanpito on the scale of an average American, and I'm not talking about a lot of people, they come from foreign countries and they think, oh, okay, well, I got a job at the local McDonald's and I bought a fucking Honda CRX, or I bought a used BMW, or I bought a, you know, it's 2021, but I'm pushing a 2012 BMW, or all that. As a guy that's been around all that shit, Maseratis, all that shit, the pictures had proven everything like that, a lot of people won't get the disdain of what I'm talking about there. And a lot of people, that is a cap for them. But what I'm saying to you is, a lot of times in these Caribbean countries, what you find is you find these older men, and they prey after these younger girls. It happens the same way down there. And that's another point that I believe not only Ebro brought up, but Lord Styles piggybacked off of. So I appreciate that. They brought up the same thing that I was talking about. The Caribbean culture is actually worse than American culture. Because not only do they encourage it when it comes to shit like that, they actually promote it. You need to go get with this one. If you go to the Philippines and you go to Thailand right now, there are women that sell their kids into sex slavery. This is a fact. You know what I mean? Let me read some of these comments down here. Well, we have to wait for him next mayor in Chicago. Lightfoot is not wanting to change, and she ain't gonna do shit. He said, yeah, shout out to Jersey. Hey, Providence. Yeah, Providence, man. God bless you, Deb. Thank you, Paula Carter. Hey, 305 Capricorn, what's going on? Peace. Hey, here in Las Vegas is 16 years old. They can get married. See what Kareem Smith said? Maybe he is staying because he doesn't have a pre. Yep. So 44 states in the union allow you to get married to a girl that's 16 or in some cases younger. I think it's 2 cases. There's 2 states that have it at 13 or 14, one of the 2. They said they have to wait for the next mayor. That's a damn shame. Let me share this real quick, y'all. Let everybody know what we're talking about. I'll be right back. Just give me 2 seconds. I just want to share this. See, that wasn't too bad. But we got to put in concentration here. It's not the superstar that RKelly was or the songs or whatever. And quite frankly, I don't care if you still play the songs or not, really. There'll be a couple of songs that I still play of RKelly. You know what I mean? There's a couple of them. I still like Step in the Name of Love. I think you can make a separation between the music and RKelly himself. Jerry Lee Lewis married a girl that was 14 years old. Ain't nobody stopped listening to this shit. In fact, he got bigger. Elvis Presley was accused of messing with young girls. In fact, Priscilla Presley, his wife, was young when he married her. If you want to talk about black ones, let's talk about Chuck Berry. Yes, I was 17 years old. Boyfriend did revenge porn on me. Police didn't do anything because he was 21 and my mom knew he was going out. I'm from Jersey, by the way. See? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I tell no lies over here. Listen, let me tell y'all something. If you're first just showing up here, my name is Davin Lewis. I'm formerly of Bad Boy Entertainment, and I'm getting out of homelessness. I was homeless here for about a year and a half during the pandemic. So I'm financial and everything else, I'm getting myself together. So if you would, please donate to $STRINGERBELL80. I saw somebody, that's Stringer Bell 80, I saw somebody wrote a comment and it got retracted. But they wrote a comment and said, your shit all about donations. No, my shit is not all about donations. Most of the time, especially if you've been here with me now, this is only the second time I mentioned that. But this is the way I make my money. That is so correct what you said. You said, by the way, I'm from Jersey. Because Jersey, especially if you're talking about Newark, especially if you're talking about Patterson, these are poor places. Newark Junction, and anything east, I would say, of Newark. It's poverty. You go down to Newark, New Jersey, there's buildings down there that look just like they do down there in Maryland, with a dilapidated, holed out. You go to whole streets, and it's nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would be considered, they almost look like Philly row houses, but they're not. But they're side by side each other. Most of the structures are old, and they're dilapidated, bombed out, look like a bomb hitter most of the time. You can go down a whole block, and if you're still in here from Jersey, you know what I'm talking about. You go down a whole block down there in Newark, because I got some partners who live in Newark, especially right outside Newark Port Authority. So as you get up the street from Newark Port Authority, you in the hood. Until you get to the airport. You are in the hood. Like, Newark, New Jersey is one of the few places I know where you can get off the train at Newark Port Authority, walk up the street, and you are in the hood. Once you get past that little bridge right there, walk out them doors, and you walk up that street, you better have somebody come pick you up and know somebody over there. That's all I'm saying. Just go get rough. And they rougher than New Yorkers. Trust me on that. Jersey people are rougher than New Yorkers. I know some New Yorkers that wouldn't go to Jersey, but Jersey people come to New York and go in the roughest neighborhoods. Jersey, like Providence, like many other cities across this country, I've seen small communities that are bent in poverty, okay? Poverty is the antithesis of all this. See, all them girls that RKelly touched and he bothered, all the girls had one thing in common. All of them came from poor neighborhoods. These weren't girls that came from ritzy neighborhoods. Even Aaliyah herself, they wasn't poverty, but compared to RKelly, They invited the fact of their daughter being a superstar. They invited the fact of her making more money, just like the other girls. They invited the fact of the opportunity, is what I'm saying to you guys. And the opportunity overwhelmed the actual importance of danger or anything else happening at the moment. So I will just say this before I end this. One, you guys have got to make a distinct decision. And don't forget about this story tomorrow. Don't think, okay, we talked about it for 2 days and it's trended on. I'm going to bring this up again. I'm going to use RKelly a couple of times because it's a bigger thing here. You understand what I'm saying? And now I'm understanding a little bit why sometimes I get black and Latin women and they will look at me crazy or be scared. I've had black women be scared of me before. Scared of me. And I'm like, how are you scared of me? I look like your uncle, or I look like whatever. I've had Latina girls scared of me. I'm like, how are you scared of me? I speak Spanish like you. I probably look like one of your tios or your tia. How the fuck are you mad? Like, or scared? Because of things that happened to them in the past. Because of things that just happened to them in the past. And like I said, wherever poverty is, whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you're in the States, whether you're in England, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in the Philippines, whether you're in Thailand, whether you're in Russia, this shit is international where this happens. There are not only women that are willfully selling their daughters, pushing their daughters to do prostitution. You go to a hood right now in any high-rise projects across this country, there's a mama out there that's promoting her daughter. You better get with that nigga. You see what that nigga driving? You see all that money he pulled out? He wants you. He don't want me. You ain't never heard that? He wants you. He don't want me. I'm too old for him. This man only 30, 35 years old. I've seen situations with my own 2 eyes now 7 or 8 times in my life. Well, I've been in some of these aforementioned communities, and I've seen with my own 2 eyes where the mama and the daughter, and I know one in particular right now that has a baby by her mama's ex-boyfriend, and together with her, lives with her. And a few people that watch me know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about her. Till I said it. I knew this girl probably 15, 16 years. I knew her daughter, from seeing her daughter raise up and grow up. So I saw her daughter probably from the time that her daughter was like, I'm gonna say probably 8 or 9 years old, up until the time when she got with this new guy. And she was probably about 16 or 17 herself at the time. Now, this whole entire time, I said to myself, because I had seen the father with the baby's father now, with the mother before. You know, everybody in town didn't know they messed around with each other, but, you know, you could reference themselves with each other. Kid, he made a lot of money. He was one of them, you know, ones that rode around looking however he looked or whatever the case may be. And he ended up doing something that was crazy, but somehow or another linking up with the daughter. And a year later, a little short of her turning 18, they had a daughter together. Now he's got his own daughter. Ain't that crazy how the world works? Drinking tea, by the way, if y'all wondering. And the mama promoted it. The mama was there at the birth. The mama was there. And I'm thinking to myself, how does this woman feel? Are you willing to just cancel out everything because of that? And many women are, for the sake of poverty and avoid it. Same thing I say when I say a lot of these are minority women. I'm not just saying black women either. It's a lot of minority women because this happens in the Asian culture. This happens in the Indian culture as well. A lot of those women traditionally with their men are treated a certain way. If you look up the demographics right now, you will find that the Asian man in America is the most unmarried, undated man in America. Undated, unmarried man in America. All right? Unmarried, undated man in America. If you looked at them on dating sites, they are some of the least men to get chosen as far as a potential partner or a pick or a zap or whatever we do nowadays online as far as picking that person and scrolling through. They're the last person to get picked. Now, these are demographics that are not only provided by numerous dating sites, but these are also demographics that are provided by the CDC. That's who I usually put my trust into as far as collection of demographics and things like that. Now, the second group that I will see, and I'm saying this not because these two gentlemen are walking past me in Middle Eastern, But I'm saying this because it's a fact. If you look at Middle Eastern women, they are now, in this country, until they're assimilated, they are marrying white men. They're not marrying their men in bulk. They're marrying white men. The same thing with their men. Their men are marrying white women. Now, I think they're doing this to try to assimilate themselves and try to purify themselves and say, hey, I'm American now. No, you're not. And if you knew any history of this country, you would know that that little shit that you're trying to do, they did a long time ago. They used to call it the brown paper bag rule. Y'all remember that? The brown paper bag rule used to be most prevalent, I would say, in Louisiana, down south, and a lot of rural places. But a lot of people remember that brown paper bag rule. And this came out of some of the descendants of slave masters. One of those noteworthy of mentioning is Sally Hemings, who was, for all mistakes and purposes, I guess you would say, Thomas Jefferson's mistress. Sally Hemings had numerous children by Thomas Jefferson. And many other people, you've seen this depicted. So basically, you now get the byproduct, which is a biracial child. This child is white and black. And in most African Americans are mixed with black and white, even though that most foreigners don't understand that because they haven't been in this country long enough to actually dig into that part of history. Or in some cases, some of them are so assimilated, they never even think for a second to look into that part of history. Or a lot of them are content with the fact of trying to prove that they are better than African Americans and Latin Americans. Well, you would have to take out the Spanish-American War. You would have to take out the Battle for the Alamo and a lot of, you know what I'm saying, to remove Mexicans from American history. In fact, Texas and California and Arizona basically are parts of Mexico, you know, if you really want to get content about it. But back to the dating issue. A lot of these women are electing themselves to date a white partner because they feel somewhere or another they are going to become somehow I guess, more prominent in society because they have a white partner, or they have a product of a biracial child. I know white people that will literally insult your biracial child. I have many of homegirls and homeboys that have biracial children, and they tell me about the experiences they have, and it's always two people involved, black people and white people. Very rarely comes from other groups. It's black people and white people. And no matter if that child is mixed with white and something else, if it appears brown, they will have something to say. And I think in the minds of many, they think they're going to be accepted. And this goes back to the same thing with this brown paper bag rule that they once had in this country. You know, people will pretend that they were something that they totally weren't. And some of them will pass for white people based upon their leniency and their DNA. Don't let these mistakes be your directive and greed be your directive into making faux decisions, bad decisions, and putting your children in danger is what I'm trying to say. All in the hints of trying to escape poverty, ladies. Guys, my name is Davin Lewis. I'm out of here. I have some more uploads for you in a minute. Again, I got a new single dropping very soon. I've also got some new clothes dropping very soon, especially here for the fall. And more importantly enough, to support anything and everything that I'm doing, hit up the Cash App, $STRINGERBELL80, that's Stringer Bell 80. Many of y'all don't know my story. I was homeless for a year and a half. I am now on the tail end of getting out of that. I'm literally days away from moving into my apartment, which I will have absolutely nothing in there, including even the basic of TV. So, guys, if you want to donate this to that or to my daily functions and just having money in my pocket, because this is the way I make my money. And a lot of people will ask me, well, why don't you go do this? Why don't you go do that? I am, for the better lack of words, a little fucked up. I suffer from anxiety and I suffer from depression heavily. Sometimes I will go away for a day or two and not be here because of those elements. I deal with a psychiatrist and I try to tell it the best way I can, but based on everything that I've been through, I was in homelessness during the pandemic. So there was a lot to go through, and I'm now, you know, translating it all out. And you put on top of being on top of people, it's a lot to handle. So, guys, if you'd like to donate, it's $STRINGERBELL80. That's Stringer Bell 80. I show what I buy with my money. I usually just buy food and stuff like that. But winter's coming up too, so I'm gonna need some new fucking gear, especially a jacket. So, hope you guys can understand. And other than that, man, this is what I do for a living. I have no shame in asking for donations. I see everybody from Kevin Samuels, Kwame Brown, everybody else, Doggy Diamonds, everybody asks for donations. So what's wrong with me asking for donation? And just like them guys, I read off who donated to me, and I also am very, 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 very grateful for the people that always do and always come back here, whatever, and know my story and know that I'm no fraud. And time after time after time again, I prove myself not to be a fraud. And that's what I take pride in. Guys, I will talk to you later. Again, the Cash App is $STRINGERBELL80. The link is in the description box. There's a little box you see below here. You can just click that upside down triangle. It'll take you right there. Also in the pinned comment, Cash App and PayPal links are there for your description. I'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for rocking with me.